The Commons Transport Committee MPs in London say there's a good case for the government's high-speed rail link between London and Birmingham through South Yorkshire and onto Leeds and to Manchester. They say it would massively improve capacity, quality and reliability of train services between our major cities. They conclude it's affordable, with an annual cost of around £2 billion for more than 17 years. Well, I'm joined by the Labour MP for Sheffield South East, Clive Betts. Clive Betts, can you explain, does it make any difference that the Commons Transport Committee say it's a good idea?
Well, I think it does, Ronnie, for two reasons. First of all, the committee doesn't just sit down and have a chat round the table for half an hour. It takes evidence from everyone who might be interested in this, from the industry itself, from passenger groups, from business groups, and, of course, from the opponents of high-speed rail. So they looked at the evidence and came to a view. The important thing is it's a cross-party committee. It's got Conservatives, Labour and Lib Dems on it. And this is a unanimous agreement by the committee. That's important for the long term. This is a very long-term project. We're talking about 20 years between saying, yes, it's going to go ahead and actually it getting to Sheffield and running. So if there was party disagreement on it, and we're going to have several elections between now and the ultimate delivery of a high-speed rail network, then there's always room to have change and doubt and possibility it won't happen. The fact there's all-party agreement on this gives a far greater degree of certainty that this network of high-speed rails will actually be delivered in this country at some point in the future.
It's not all good news for people who are enthusiastic about it, like indeed you are. There is concern that the HS2 won't reach Manchester and Leeds for more than 2 decades. As you say, they're urging the government to look at other options to build southwards from the north and to link to other lines like the Midland Main Line. Is that your position as well?
I think that's an extremely sensible idea. If high-speed rail is going to be good for the economy of the north, to bring north and south closer together, to bring about some equalisation of growth and production in the different parts of the United Kingdom, then if it's a good thing, let's do it as quickly as possible. And if we can speed it up by building both from the south upwards and also from the north, and therefore get it done more quickly and get the benefits in more quickly, that seems to me to be at least a good suggestion for looking at, and the government should very quickly look at that possibility.
Clive Betts, the Labour MP who's down in London at the moment. I'm joined by Joe Rukin from Say No to HS2. Joe Rukin, what do you make of what Clive Betts has said about what the Commons Transport Committee have been saying?
I think Clive actually needs to read the report opposed to go with the spin behind it. The Transport Select Committee has raised serious concerns about HS2 and how far we are down with the plans, down planning this with very, very sketchy plans. The MPs on the Select Committee, there's 6 from what you used to call Lancashire, and they've realised quite easily that they may be asked to be being cheerleaders for a railway line that will only ever get as far as Birmingham. And this is one of the reasons that they're talking about having the plans for getting north straight away, because there's no rush for this. There's an extra 2 years on the parliamentary timetable for this. It goes back to actually that argument, we should start building it Leeds, Manchester and London all at the same time. Cannot be done. Forget it. The reason that HS2 is 2 years late is because Crossrail is 2 years late, and we can't afford to pay for both of them at the same time. Now, that means quite clearly that we can't afford to pay for all 3 legs of HS2 at the same time. So the question is, even if you do start building it further north from Birmingham, are you going to build Manchester first or are you going to build Yorkshire first? And then there will have to be a choice there. But the other thing is with the committee is that they've asked for clarity on a whole number of issues before the decision to proceed with HS2. They've asked for, proper clarity on the assessment of the alternatives, how it's going to get to Heathrow, justifying the actual route so far, clarity in terms of the policy content, the financial and economic case, and the environmental implications. And they want clarity on all of those issues before it goes ahead.
And it's your contention then that there's a spin on this to say what Mr Betts has been saying, but in fact the report itself is much more ambivalent about it. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. They have put some very, very strong caveats in this report, and it seems that, that's being ignored. For example, one of the things you should really pay attention to on this is HS2 Limited have been saying that they'll do 18 trains an hour. They've realised that is completely fictitious. It relies on technology which does not exist. And they say, it'll be done by the time we build it. Honest, nowhere in the world does more than 13 trains an hour. Now, if you can't do the 18 in the service pattern, somewhere that's been promised trains is not going to get trains. And you've got to add in as well that there have to be extra trains to Heathrow if you're having a link line there, and that isn't factored in. So there aren't going to be as many trains going to as many cities as they are saying. And the TSC have spotted that one. It cannot be done.
Right, and one further question, Joe Rukin. The Stop the HS2 campaign doesn't want HS2 at all. What's your actual basic, regardless of this report and what it does or doesn't say, what's your basic problem with HS2?
There's no business case, there's no environmental case, and there's no money to pay for it. This was a botched job put together by Andrew Adonis, who's the bloke responsible for both tuition fees and top-up fees, which have been universal successes. It's lightweight. They need to go back to the drawing board. They need to assess actually reinvesting in the current railway network. They also need to assess other proposals like maglev.
Joe Rukin, thank you.